I'm that bull in the hood. New lamb truck got the bull in the hood. Black and red looking like the bulls hit the hood. 23s, oh, they got the bull sitting good. This game 6, this can't miss. Shooting my shot, wrist hang swish.
What time is it? Game time!
Welcome back, Bulls Nation, to another episode of the Nothing But Bull podcast. I'm your host, Derek, and as always, I'm here with my man, Just B, hanging out in the ball pit with Kobe White. What's going on, Justin?
Nothing much. I'm just living the dream. Ball pit with a Bulls player. That's great.
And of course, Melissa. How's it going?
Hi. What up, y'all? I don't know how to follow
This background that Justin has put me in a much better mood after watching those last two games. Oh, man. What is with this team? You know, you already know where I'm going with this. Fire Billy. That's my answer. Just get him out of here. Get him out of here.
You know, Pat was having like a decent game yesterday.
Yeah, decent game. Like
decent for Pat.
Yeah, decent for Pat.
Despite the clip that we saw that we were discussing, he was having a decent game, and he got benched.
Yeah, but the problem was, like, on the other end, like, he was getting cooked by a rookie that basically kind of averages like slightly more than what Pat is averaging right now. On a much improved OKC Thunder team. I mean, let's be real. Like when people are like, oh, like why do the Bulls like lose against these bad teams? OKC is not a bad team. They're a young team, but they're not a bad team. Like there's not a lot of bad teams in the NBA right now. But that's a team that plays with a lot of passion. They get after you defensively. They have given fits to a lot of the top teams in the NBA right now. So the fact that the Bulls lost that game is not necessarily a slight to the Bulls. It's the energy, the lack of energy that we've been talking about since the beginning of the year that plagues this team. I don't know how you come out. I'm pretty sure they got like out rebounded by OKC. At least it felt like they got out rebounded. I honestly didn't even look at the stats because it got to at one point in the game where I was seriously considering just turning the game off. But
was it after we gave away 72 points in the first half?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I was like, where's the remote? Like, I was up with my kid. I was like, all right, it's Paw Patrol time tonight, I guess.
72 points. 72 points.
We were out rebounded, but it wasn't that bad. It was 46-42.
No, like, see, that's the thing. Like, we look at like stats and we're like, okay, it wasn't that bad. There was at one point where like the tallest player on OKC at one point was like 6'8". The tallest person. Like that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, come on, man. Come on. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm tired. I'm just.
What did you think about?
I was with Mel where she was like, you know, I'm considering like looking at other teams. I know like we've come down off of that that edge that we were about to jump off of, but yeah, man, it's tough.
For clarification, as a second team, you know, to kind of just help lick the wounds. We're never giving up on the Bulls. Bulls for life, but dang, you know, sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, lately it's been rough. It has been rough. What did you guys think about Dre not being played?
Idiot. Like the Thunder have no centers at all. None. There's no reason that you don't go big and make them play up to you.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, he does that small ball crap that does not work. Derrick Jones Jr. should not been playing at center over Andre Drummond last game. Vooch should play like he has some balls. I mean, I cannot. He's got to go. You go from the game before.
Wait, you got to be specific. Like, who has to go?
Vooch. Vooch has to go. You go from the game before with Porzingis and Gafford being out, and you're being guarded by old man Taj Gibson. And you do nothing. You come into the next game, there's no centers at all. And you can't dominate in the post.
Well, Derek, it's hard going against those smaller guys.
Because they have strong core muscles that Vooch just seems to struggle with. He's got to go. Billy's got to go. And for everybody that's saying that we should trade DeMar, hell no. We need DeMar.
Yeah, you see his effect the last 2 games without DeMar. No king of the fourth and no rhythm, nothing. We had no offense going on for us. Especially, oh my God, the fourth quarter was this. I was so disgusted. I felt disgusted on many occasions, unfortunately, this season. But we were not running anything at all.
Typical Billy.
You know, the thing is, like, I hear people saying like about like trading DeMar in today's league. First of all, if you have a dynamic wing, let alone 2 dynamic wings, like it does not make sense to break that up. Like, let's just like get that out in the open. But like the Bulls, like going back and visiting my family, like reminded me of the Bulls. Like when I go to my dad's house, when I was growing up in my dad's house, my dad would always have the air conditioning on 78 degrees. My dad made people adjust when you came into his house. You could be like sweating and whatever. You'd be like, look, you better take off your jacket, turn on a fan and drink something ice cold. This temperature is not changing. The Bulls are like a gracious host. Oh, you need for us to stop running our offense? Oh, we can do that for you. You want to get that rebound? Sure, go right ahead. They don't dictate anything to anybody. And even going back to what you were saying before with Vooch not dominating, Billy decided that because they were going small, he was going to take Vooch out of the game. He did not do anything to try to change up how the Thunder were attacking, and Vooch played a part in that too. There were plenty of times where Vooch like was trying to post up or get the ball down low, and the defender was fronting him. Instead of him reposting and establishing his position, he basically just gave up, threw in the white flag. This team is a reflection of the poor coaching that they are receiving. And before I would do any changes as far as the roster, I'd be looking at Billy and be like, look, you got to go, because something is not adding up. It can't be we trust in Billy but we have this roster that we put together and the roster is just failing, or Billy is just not able to utilize the roster. You have to like pick a lane. They have to decide what direction that they're going to go in, but it can't be both. The roster stinks and, you know, Billy is not going to receive any type of criticism for the way things are flowing. This team has too much talent on its roster to be floundering the way it has been floundering. And like we've talked about this for a long time, no direction, no type of roles on this roster. Billy's got to go.
He's got to go. I mean, in the post presser last night, he said, it was sometimes where, the ball, it just kind of stuck and the guys weren't quick enough to get into the next action. Whose fault is that? Whose job is it to make sure that the ball does not stick by running plays to keep the ball moving, to get players involved, to get them open looks? Billy, like, how do you even say that in a press conference like it's not your fault? That's your job. You're the coach. You're supposed to put the offense in place for the players to run. If you see the ball's getting stuck, you need to call a play that will change stuff up. Yet you do nothing. And, Thunder fans were tweeting after the game that they're so glad that Billy's gone because he never makes adjustments. They talked about how they had to, play Dame Lillard the same way the whole series, and Billy just never adjusted. And I'm like, yeah, this has always been his problem.
I don't know. We just weren't. It's Billy. But I mean, what about our defense? Was just atrocious yesterday. It was so bad. It was just so bad. It was bad all around. And normally our thing is like point of attack defense, but like the help defense was terrible. They were helping too late. It was bad all around. Again, we gave up 72 points in 2 quarters. That's crazy. We kept giving up the lane. I mean, we were just like giving them whatever they wanted. And to Justin's point, I felt the same way, that you're allowing the other team to dictate and control the game. We had zero control at all. Like, not at one single point of the game did we control any of it. And I don't know, all these turnovers yesterday, it was mad. It was madness. And I'm also not a number one Billy fan, but it's also, I mean, there's like not one problem here. I don't know what's going on. It's just, they are so inconsistent. They're so inconsistent. It's just very frustrating because, again, it's like we know what they can do. You see flashes of it, but at this point, when are we going to stick with what works? When are we going to put in that full energy and effort from start to finish? Why are we always playing catch up? Why do we always have to play catch up? I just don't understand.
I agree with what you're saying, Melissa, but I mean, honestly, I think that there is one major problem, and I don't want to like keep like harping on Billy, but like when you see, like you were talking about, like fundamental breakdowns like all over the place, that I mean, that just goes back to your fundamentals. Like what is your identity? Like even seeing Caruso, yeah, he had 5 steals, but he just kept getting beat on backdoor cuts, and guys were driving right past people. The Thunder were coming in, and I think the Thunder had they were playing on a back-to-back. It's not like the Thunder like have so much scoring, at their disposal that they should be putting up 124 points on this team. And I know they were missing DeMar, but like there's just like a fundamental understanding. Like there were certain moves, like even with Vooch, instead of like trying to establish himself down low, there were plenty of times where he was like at the free throw line trying to dribble past guards and forwards who were like all attacking him, trying to get the ball away from him. There were just so many things that I was like, this is just a breakdown. It's a systemic breakdown. I don't understand how Josh Giddey, who in his second year is a good player, but in his second year, like when you see that Josh is guarding Pat like the majority of the night, I don't understand how you don't recognize that that's a mismatch that you should be able to go right at. Like that they're just not a smart basketball team. And I don't know that that's necessarily, like, obviously the players make the money, and they're at the forefront, that like they're the faces that you see on a regular basis. but I don't understand like how you can have like a systemic breakdown like what we saw last night. And then when Caruso comes out, the very first thing that he said when they were questioning him about the defense was fundamentals, our basic principles. When you see something break down like that, I got to question what is happening with this coaching staff. Like, it's not just Billy, but it's like the entire coaching staff. Like, is there input from other guys? Like, what is everybody else seeing? What are some points that you're noticing that you can like point to and say, hey, maybe we might want to try this approach? It's just lacking.
They're again, I'm repeating this, but if they just feel demoralized. It's I forgot where I read it, but I read something about Kobe had to like go out and seek film on his defense versus being like, was it you? Did you send it? I don't remember where I read it, but I read an article somewhere about Kobe being the one to seek out film.
Yeah, there was like an interview, I think it was by when KC was like interviewing him, and he said over the summer that he like had the video guys put together film from the last time that they got eliminated from the Bucks, and like, you know, he was going over defensive principles and like angles, the correct angles that he needed to take. And you know, I questioned like, why was like, I applaud him for doing that, but why was he doing that on his own? Like, you know,
it's like, why didn't Kobe start that second half with as bad as Ayo was playing last night? Why didn't Gordon Dragic get more than 16 minutes and 46 seconds with the way Ayo was playing? Why did Drummond get no minutes? We needed energy. You have Dalen Terry. You put him in the game for 56 seconds. What was the point of playing him at all? 56 seconds. No Javonte, no DeMar. No, you don't play Drummond. And you give the guy that can provide energy 56 seconds. Why?
well, at this point, like, because, you know, we've all been screaming for Dalen to like get some extra time. But then I thought on the flip side, if he does get time, that means that he's getting more exposure with this coaching staff. I don't know if I want that.
Back on the Windy City Bulls as of today. So
yep. They signed him back down there earlier today. Just now, Bulls announced DeMar and Tony Bradley have been upgraded to questionable for tomorrow.
Thank goodness we needed that Tony Bradley update. So bad. We got hope.
Zach is listed as probable.
What do you guys
I don't
think
know
about
what
that?
I don't know what's going on with his hand.
I was just gonna ask what you guys thought about that contusion versus tear.
He's quoted in the interview saying, you know, that your shot's not falling, you drive. That's what you do with torn ligaments. And immediately it's like the team confirms he has no torn ligaments. So it's like, does he or doesn't he? Because you guys said Lonzo's gonna be out 4 to 6 weeks. He hasn't played in a year.
I think regardless, I mean, everybody knew like that, like before, like, I'm sorry, not everybody. When I was like looking at the Bulls and like looking at the lineup, I caught that they said that Levine had a contusion. I'm sure that the team knew that ahead of time. Now, if DeMar is not playing and Zach has the contusion, who else on the Bulls is capable of putting up some points, who has shown that he has put up points before in his young career and doesn't have a problem playing in the moment.
Kobe.
Look at your background.
This guy in the ball pit. So, like, I don't understand how you go into that game with that understanding. I don't like if you understand the makeup of your roster and what you need, and the fact that you need to establish Vooch so early on. I don't understand how Kobe wasn't immediately put in the starting lineup. I mean, I don't know. What did they expect by starting Ayo and Caruso? And even though Caruso, I think this year is shooting like close to 40% from three, surprisingly, he's not going to make. They're not going to make up those points or extra shots that DeMar was giving us. And we saw in the last couple of games, throughout the year, Pat's not ready for that role. So you have a guy that's on your team that's more than willing to put up shots, not afraid of the moment, a guy whose handle has improved. Remember we were watching, like yesterday, I was behind and I was like, man, now would be a good time to put Kobe in the game. And like immediately he went off for like 6 points. What did Kobe end up with last night?
Kobe
Anybody know?
had 19.6 rebounds, 6 assists.
Yeah, imagine if he was starting.
He played more minutes than Ayo, but not close. He did not start.
But that should have been obvious. I mean, like I don't understand the direction of this team. And I think that people's frustration stems from what we were watching in years past, because when we watched this team, no one got mad that the team wasn't performing up to expectations, because there really weren't any expectations. We just appreciated having some guys out on the court who are trying to play hard. But now we don't see guys out there playing hard and or with a purpose. The expectations have changed, and rightfully so. And but I don't know. I mean, you guys, like, you've seen the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat several times have been without their starting players. Jimmy Butler's missed time. Kyle Lowry has missed time. There have been plenty of guys that they've called up who somewhat belong in the G League. And you don't see quit in that team. You see them running a cohesive offense. The identity stays the same. But like when DeMar goes out, or when Levine's out, or even when they have those people starting, they still don't have an identity that they follow. So it's confusing and it's disappointing in many aspects.
That's it. For sure.
The light went out for Derek, much like the light of hope is going out for the Chicago Bulls.
Oh man. I mean, common sense. If you're going to start Caruso in place of DeMar, to balance out the offense and defense, you should have started Kobe. I mean, that's just common sense, and it's not so common for Billy. I mean, even the game before with the Wizards, I don't know why he made like no type of adjustments, because they allowed like 41 to 42 points in the third quarter when we were up at the half. And then we're trying to claw back in. Caruso gets cooked on a pick from Taj Gibson to let Kuzma hit the three that put them in front. And then you had that last shot play with Zach. And
when the Bulls were like this bad, does anybody remember so many players having career nights against us? Because I honestly don't. Like, when we were starting Feliciano, I don't remember like, starting centers just like going off on us or anybody else for that matter. But there are guys who are like first year players or guys who are like fringe NBA players that have their career best against us. I don't understand that.
Players and teams both. We just love giving away these records. It's what we do.
We are a gracious host.
Oh, so getting back to that last shot in DC, like a lot of people have been like, why was he going for two? They had a foul to give and they took it. Refs did not call it. And then they released the last 2-minute report like, no, we got that one right. Like, no, you did not. Delon Wright, who fouled Zach, looked at the ref immediately after and like saying it should be on the floor because he didn't want the continuation. Zach missed a shot anyway, but they had a foul to give. They should have another chance. So whether the league wants to admit that or not, that is another game where we probably should have won had it not been for a bad call by the referees.
That I still think you should have gone for a 3. But 6 seconds down, 6 seconds left, down 3. I think, I don't know, it's tough to rely on getting a foul call and then also continuation. I don't know about that one. And I saw, did you see the reactions? Like, I'm wondering about like what Vooch felt like. You saw him at the behind the arc, like, and I saw AC, was it Kobe in the corner pointing at Kobe? I think was pointing at the foul, that it was a foul, but
yeah, Vooch is an idiot because he had nothing to complain about. If you rewatch the play, because I had to rewatch this a few times to understand what Zach was doing.
mm-hmm.
He was about to pull up for the 3.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 guys on him. They go to grab him because they have the fouls to give and they're trying to give that foul, which they did. Zach went through the contact and tried to do the continuation. He said in the locker room, like he was about to pull up for 3 and he was grabbed. So that's why he just kept going into the trying to get the and 1 play. Vooch was not open. His man didn't sag off him until Zach was already in the paint. Zach would have had to throw a very high pass that either would have got picked off or wouldn't have made it in time. So Vooch is an idiot for that. He did have the option to like flip it behind him to AC, who was open.
I don't think that like you would have had the better angle with Vooch, but like, do you trust like Zach or really like any player like making that pass to a player that's behind them, not having a line of sight to get them the ball? Like, and I looked at the play, like you could tell from what Wright's response was, because when you see a player like go like this, like, you got caught, or you think that you got caught, like you're trying to like put the hands back, is that immediate reaction. So like even before like looking at it, I saw him go like this and I was like, okay, yeah, he thought that he got caught, fouling Zach. And like, I understand like people thinking like in retrospect, it's like, oh, he should have done this, he should have done that. But if you feel the contact and you're close to like the 3-point line or whatever, you take the shot, you do whatever you can do because there's a chance that you make it. And we've seen Zach make, well, even in that game, he was making some ridiculous shots. So like, yeah, like, but let me just read something to you guys real quick. See if like this brings us back to what we were talking about before. In 5 years as the head coach of the Chicago Bulls, I'm not going to tell you which coach it was. Franchise was 255 and 139, 64% winning percentage, and led the league in close game winning percentage at 62%. You all know who I'm talking about there?
Is this Billy
Tom
last year?
Thibodeau.
Oh, okay.
Tom Thibodeau. And it's funny, like, even like when people think about Tibbs being like this defensive minded coach, which he was, Tibbs was known for player development, especially not just on the Bulls. He was like big time with Kobe, helping him when he was a young player, helping Yao Ming. We saw that it was like, I think it was like the first or second year with the Knicks, Julius Randle, one of the most improved players in the league. I'm pretty sure he won that award. You have to have someone who is fundamentally sound and having a plan put together as how they are going to get the team in a certain spot and move them ahead. And it was interesting, like I was going back and looking at quotes for Donovan, and I think it was Noah who came out and said, oh, he's a great motivator. At this point in the league, guys don't necessarily need to be motivated, because your motivation is staying in the league, getting your contract, not embarrassing yourself on a national stage. This team needs somebody who knows how to get players developed and make the team respond. And I have not known Billy to do anything like that in his coaching career, which is interesting that he did not want to stay in OKC, because it would require him building something, but starting with a rebuild. Now he's in the Chicago Bulls, having to build something, which is not something that he has had to do or has proven to do since he's been in the league.
Because he can't.
No.
He should have stayed at college level because he's a college level coach.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that, but it is what it is. Get out coached by your protege. That's with less talent.
And it's first year as head coach. And they beat us twice this season.
Yeah.
It wasn't just yesterday. It's in both games. We played them this season. We've lost to them.
Are you guys sold on people like being untouchable with this team, like outside of Levine and maybe Caruso? Like, are you all sold on anybody being like, no, like we can't get rid of this guy. He's part of the future.
I feel like we're not in the position for anybody to be untouchable, but as much as I don't want to give anybody up, but emotionally, I don't want to give anybody up, and I see everybody's potential. But I low-key kind of feel like we're not in the position to make those kind of calls on who's untouchable.
Other than Zach, because obviously
Right.
signed him to the max, I wouldn't trade DeMar because clearly he's needed. Anybody else?
Because I was reading that like they were saying like Caruso and
Alex and
Pat are untouchable. And like I wouldn't give up Caruso, because Caruso is shown to be elite with what he does do well. Like, defensively, he was up for like player or defensive player of the year. Like he was in that category last year before he got hurt. But I root for Pat, but like I haven't seen anything where like they couldn't get another guy who's a 3-and-D player who averages 10 points a game.
even with Alex too, just from like a leadership standpoint, and he's been solid on defense, but the leadership standpoint too, I always tend to notice him being the most vocal on the whole team. He's always calling out stuff. Even when he was injured off the bench, he's yelling at players, bringing them in for huddles. I think that's super important. I talk about that a lot too, like the leadership aspect of it. Like there is one thing to like lead by example, which DeMar does. Like DeMar just does his thing, and he just does his thing and people follow suit. But in terms of like who is vocal, who will call out things that is a player, it's only Alex that I see like that on a consistent basis. Like he'll pull people aside and talk to them or call out things and just yell things across the court that he notices. So in that regard, his leadership is super important. Leadership in general is super important. And I talk about that a lot too. Like we super lack leadership. We need
Yeah.
He also runs huddles when the whole entire coaching staff disappears.
Exactly.
I was going to say, I sent you guys that video where the coach staff is all the way over here, and there's the huddle, and you just see AC talking. And then Billy finally comes in and sits down. And it looked like he's immediately talking to Alex. Like, you might as well let him be the player coach for what it's worth. So
They respond to him too. They respect him. You see it. You can see that all the players respect him.
yeah, Zach, DeMar, Alex, and Zoe, who shared videos yesterday of him running on the treadmill and dunking a basketball. There's hope.
I don't know. He had a little bit of a hitch in his step when he was running.
There's hope. Don't take that from us, Justin.
As a Bulls trauma survivor, I'm not gonna have any type of hope that he'll return until I see it happen. I'm just gonna protect myself as best I can. It's been rough.
Man couldn't walk up and down the stairs without being couldn't run at all. Running, he's dunking.
Derek, he cannot cut. Like,
No, he cannot cut yet. That would be the next step.
A huge part of his game is missing.
Yeah, that would be the next step, is him cutting.
Yeah.
and if he's one of our best point of attack defenders, you kind of need to be able to move laterally. Like, I have more hope that Kobe has turned himself into a player that has changed the narrative on him not being an important piece of this Bulls team moving forward than I have on Lonzo seeing the court this year.
Just killjoy, man.
No, it's not a killjoy because at least you have Kobe playing for you.
Until they try to trade him.
I know, that's what I was
Because-
gonna say. That's you can't even, I can't even emotionally invest myself into that idea either, because he's probably gonna I feel like he's gonna get traded now that he's doing great and his stock is back up. Like I could just see that happening where Kobe is like, he's on a roll, he's been consistent, he's improved his game in every aspect, and he's like a point guard. Yeah, it's time to trade him. See ya, pieces. You're doing great. Bye.
That same
but-
report that said that AC and Pat were untouchable said that basically the Bulls are only willing to send away Kobe and the Portland pick in a trade.
Mhm. We might not even get the Portland pick.
Yeah, I would try to get rid of that because Portland's like in the 11th right now, and they're sitting where we are in the 11th spot outside of the play-in picture. I mean, there's still time, but I would not put my money on getting that Portland pick. Just like
Yeah, but is Kobe's like value really that? I think Kobe is showing more value to the Bulls than he is yet to any team. I can't imagine anybody giving up anything of significant value just yet on Kobe and his improved play, because I honestly don't think a lot of people watch the Bulls and scout the Bulls like that to know what is going on necessarily with Kobe White in the ball pit with me. But
It's been
Kobe's
reported.
been playing like he's like, does it, when you watch Kobe, because to me, when I watch Kobe this year, at least these past few games, it looks like he actually is playing like he's 6'5". Like he's playing bigger than what he used to look like on TV. We see him boxing out, grabbing rebounds, using his body correctly. It seems like he's, gained some added strength to his frame. Like I don't know if the Bulls are in a position to necessarily like send out talent, because with the way the roster is now and moving into the future, it's not like you're going to have Goran to really, lean on as the years get along. So I don't know. Do you just send Kobe out for just anything, or do you try to re-sign him?
They're definitely gonna see what they can get for him. There's already been offers for him, and KC said that clearly shows that the Bulls aren't just going to give him away for anything. But people have asked about Kobe. It's been reported a lot of teams are watching the Bulls. The Knicks are heavily scouting the Bulls because the Knicks and the Warriors are very interested in Caruso, who it's came out that he's untouchable. So teams are paying attention to our players, Justin.
It would just suck to watch him leave and become so much better because the present staff wasn't able to get much out of him. Like I enjoy watching basketball, so I'll go back and look at former Bulls players and just about anybody. It's interesting watching like Lauri come and like doing the things that he's doing now, and other Bulls players who didn't reach their goals while with the Bulls do that on other teams. And it would just suck to have them send out another player for them to do well someplace else.
The team's not necessarily known for having the best development. So that would definitely happen as soon as we ship him out. He's going to become an all-star. We're just not known for developing our players, unfortunately. But yeah, sometimes it's also not the right environment, but a lot of it has to do with our development. Lack of. Yes. Even, I don't know. You just want to see Dalen get more minutes to piggyback off of that. He should be getting more minutes.
I mean, we want to see Dalen Terry play. Just watch the Windy City Bulls.
I have. They're entertaining.
We're going to see. They are.
They're a pretty good team.
They play a modern style. Everyone on there isn't a great three-point shooting team, but they get them up just like anybody else. They run the floor. They don't play through a big man, but hey, they're pretty good at what they do.
I mean, since Billy loves small ball, you would think you want a big man who can run the floor and will jack up threes, but will rebound and play solid defense on bigs. Yet you're leaving Marko Simonovic down in Windy City. You don't even try. He's quicker than Vooch. He'll actually try to box out smaller players. I'm pretty sure he has a better post-up rate than Vooch. I mean, even though it's the G League, I'm sure he can back down point guards. It's like, why do we even have Marko on this team? He's never even with the team.
It is pretty concerning that Marko doesn't get like some kind of playing time with this team, given the fact that this team somehow is good as a defensive rebounding team. Like, it's kind of confusing to me watching so many times that we give up offensive rebounds to other teams. But it is pretty concerning that the Bulls have an issue with size and that they can't find a way to get Marco some type of playing time, because there's no one really behind Pat. And we can get on Pat, and everybody's gotten on Pat, but there are things that Pat is doing that are pretty good. But one of the things, like we talked about before, is that he's playing out of position. So you have a guy who's playing out of position, and who's the next power forward on this team? Because they play Derrick Jones Jr. at the center a lot of times. So the next power forward of the team is Javonte. Like, is that the way we're going to roll with things? Like, I don't.
Yeah, that's
I
how
don't get
we've
that.
been rolling for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Javonte is a power forward. I mean, he's out right now. He's out at least a month. You can't tell me that Marco can't score more than Derrick Jones Jr. You can't tell me that. If we can get rid of him too, Derrick Jones can go. I know, Justin, you've said that before. He can go too.
It's not because he's not a good player. I think he's given some good minutes for this Bulls team, but we have too many players that we are relying on that we should not have to rely on for heavy minutes. Even with the way that Caruso is being utilized, Caruso is a disruptor. He breaks up a team's offensive plan. But the problem is, if you have too much disruption, it creates chaos. And not just for the other team, it creates chaos for the Bulls. He is not the person that you are going to be able to rely on to hit open three-pointers consistently. And not just rely on with him like hitting it, him taking it. There were so many times in the past few games that he has had open shots that he has just given up because he's not necessarily comfortable. Like, that's not part of his game. And with the way that Caruso plays, with diving on the floor and going after rebounds and going into the stands, that's not something that is sustainable. Much like chaos is not sustainable. It's going to burn out. And it goes back to understanding the overall makeup of your team. It doesn't seem like the players understand like where guys should be getting shots at. Like, when somehow like Derrick Jones Jr. is always the one in the last seconds who is getting a 3-point attempt. Like, why? Or them understanding how you have to get Vooch established down low, or Billy understanding I cannot continue to send Caruso out for extended minutes because he's going to break down and get hurt. Do you understand the roster?
KYP.
That's what Stacey is always talking about. KYP.
Yeah.
But it's not all bad news for the Bulls. Like, we should talk about Chuck. Didn't Chuck have his it was like his 2000th game that he called?
25 years, 2,000 games.
Yep.
Shout out Chuck.
Shout out Chuck.
Yeah, Chuck.
Sorry, your 2000 game was that crap against OKC.
We wanted you to be able to dance. Great.
We all want Chuck to dance. We need more
Chuck-
dancing.
Chuck deserved better than that.
Yes. Maybe that can be the new call to order. Let's win it for Chuck.
And they honored him. They honored him. They gave him this plaque of a Bulls jersey with 2000 on it. They honored him during the game, and these guys put no effort in to win that game for Chuck. Chuck should have been dancing after that game because it was a Bulls win.
I think we all
Chuck.
should be
You
dancing.
deserve better, man.
Yep.
He should have been dancing after the Wizards game. He should have been dancing after this game. They're losing against the Wizards without Porzingis without Beal, that is inexcusable. And looking ahead on this Paris trip, if they happen to come back without Billy on their team, do you think anybody would notice? Like, how long do you think anybody would notice before they were like, oh, Billy's not on the team? What happened to Billy? Did y'all leave him in Paris?
I've seen somewhere, I was like, I hope this is true, but somebody said they already had Billy's ticket booked for Paris, so they're waiting until after that trip to get him out of here. It's like, there's no refunds on a trip to Paris.
Wow.
Well, that's the way you're going to do it. Like, if you're going to fire somebody and leave them behind, you leave them in Paris. That's not a bad spot to, like, restart your life, right? They'd be doing them a favor.
They'd be doing us a
A
favor.
lot of people in favor.
So yeah, we have the Warriors tomorrow, and then we have one game next week, which is the Paris game against the Pistons, who we should beat. I think we have like a 12 or 13 game winning streak against the Pistons. That needs to continue, and hopefully this Paris trip helps the Bulls find their mojo. Because playing 2 games is like, what, 10 days?
Mhm.
I don't want to hear about hand contusions. That's enough time. Put some ice on your hand and get these wins, man. Zach is probable for tomorrow. DeMar is upgraded from doubtful to questionable, as well as Tony Bradley.
So wait, we have the Warriors tomorrow, and then who's next after that?
The
Pistons.
Pistons in Paris.
The Pistons in Paris. All right,
Only game next week.
that's it. What do you think our record is? I know it's only 2 games, but
1-1.
the Pistons missing any players?
I don't think
Who
so.
do they have? They played us pretty tight last time, didn't they?
Did they?
I thought they did.
I mean, pretty much every team plays us tight.
That's true. We get everybody's best effort.
Where is that game? No, we beat them 132 to 118.
Yeah, but didn't it pull away like towards the very end?
Probably.
I was pretty sure that that's what happened. Like, it wasn't like, oh yeah, we just owned the Pistons.
We usually have great.
Yeah, Cade's out for a season. Is their other guy back?
Because like Burks was killing us in that game, I'm pretty sure. Like, they're backup to the backup point guard. Because that's what happens with this team.
Somebody was out for them other than Cade. Hayes was out.
You said Hayes was out?
Yeah. Either way, I'm going 1-1.
Who are they winning against?
The Pistons.
It is so hard to predict these days. It's
I'm like,
it's been like, we've been on that. They're killing teams under 500. I mean, they're losing. They're getting slaughtered to teams under 500, killing teams over 500. But like, I don't even know anymore. I'll go.
tomorrow honestly has a very high chance of becoming ugly
Yeah.
because we always leave shooters open on the
We're
three-point
gonna get
line.
killed on the threes. So bad.
And you're playing the Splash
Our
Brothers.
defense is so bad. Okay.
Yeah,
let's-
well, okay, wait a minute though. The Warriors are not playing good defense at all this year.
They're not.
No, they're like teams have
We
been
already
lighting
heard.
them up recently.
Our offense.
I'm not
is
like
pretty wishy-washy though. We've been pretty hit or miss. If we can run some plays, but all the way through all 4 quarters, maybe not just like the first quarter and then forget how to run any plays. It'd be cool. I'd like that. Be nice. We'll go 1-1, I guess. Apprehensively.
I'm like, because if DeMar doesn't play tomorrow, yeah, that might be the game that gets turned off.
I won't be able to turn it off.
it's Paw Patrol time. This Bulls team makes you appreciate having a good family life to go home to. Because if you're by yourself, it's rough.
It's 1-1-1-1. Justin, we're
I'm gonna say 2-0.
Oh,
I'm going against the grain.
okay, Jeff. We all need a ball pit wallpaper. I need that. I need that in my life. I'm having a hard time speaking because I'm just not in a good mood. I don't want to say too much today. I tweeted what I tweeted yesterday and I'm like, "Ugh."
So hopefully this game does not turn ugly tomorrow. Hopefully DeMar plays.
All I care about, all I want is just for them
To win.
put some effort from the beginning to the end. If we lose, we lose, but I just want to see some fight. I just want to see some pride. That's
Did
it.
you say some crying?
Pride.
Pride. I want to see wins. Because
Bar's real low right now. The bar's right here. So all I want is some effort. Bar's right here.
I'll take that. Yeah. Effort,
wins.
passion, heart,
Fundamentals.
Wins.
and Kobe in a ball pit. There you go.
Shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you're still amongst them stars.
Oh,
Win.
bars.
Win.
Woo!
I don't want to be looking on Grubhub at like 10, 11 o'clock at night anymore. Like it's soon enough, it's not going to be hoodie season anymore. I'm trying to get my life together. I'm trying to get my summer body back on. It is not happening watching this team.
Like win. So Mel does not have late night Grubhub orders.
I only ordered one time. Can you believe it? But every night I'm in there. every time we have a game that we just I'm in there putting things in my cart.
Yeah, I put on some weight myself. Like, I think it was like not recently that I discovered Portillo's French fries with cheese dip. So I've been hitting that up way too often after these Bulls losses. I'm now at 197. So yeah, need to get that weight down. But in order for that to happen, I need for the Bulls to like get their act together so I don't clog my arteries. So the Bulls need to save a life here.
Popeye's ghost pepper wings have been my go-to.
That sounds good. We were talking about Hawaiian sweet rolls last time. Just
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Bulls, come on, man.
please.
Stop making us eat.
I can't wear this hoodie in 90-degree weather.
Yeah. So yeah. I guess until the next time, it's go Bulls.
Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.
Then it's game over. The horn blows.